Well, hello there and welcome. I hope you're looking forward to a nice 3-day weekend and the unofficial start to summer. Are your CMOs feeling a little spendy this summer, or are they tightening those purse strings? Are we overweighting too much of our marketing budget toward technology? I mean, every time we turn around, it seems like there's some bright, shiny new toy for us to play with. Well, new research from Gartner says it could be both. CMOs feeling like they just can't get it all done. What does this mean for you? Well, this is 5 minutes of what you need to lead in marketing. Let's go ahead and roll. Hello, everybody. Robert Rose here with the news. It is, as you know, what's new, but more importantly, it's what's important in the world of content and marketing. And for the best and best practices in both of those things, you can head on over to contentmarketinginstitute.com. So this week, Gartner, the huge industry analyst firm, held its Gartner Marketing Symposium and released their annual CMO Spend and Strategy survey. While the entire report is available to Gartner clients only, there were some interesting things noted in the announcement of all this new data they've aggregated. What stood out to me? Well, what stood out to me was the change in investment for digital channels, where they found that social advertising and digital video advertising and influencer marketing were the biggest increases in investments, and search-based advertising saw the biggest decrease in investment. Now, we've talked before about how internet search has become less valuable for consumers over time and how Google's juggernaut business, well, it may be starting to be threatened a bit by the growth of vertical search, as well as all the new developments in generative AI. Now, this centralized idea, we call it the rise of push content, where relevant content now finds us, now finds our audiences, targeted, personalized, and based on consumption, a la TikTok, rather than search. Could these numbers start to be the earliest hints of a marketing climate change here, where we may find more success in reaching audiences through influencers and social content platforms rather than search engines? Well, that wasn't the biggest headline in Gartner's survey. No, that biggest headline was about the fact that CMOs, well, they're feeling a little bit touchy about their budgets. Generally speaking, it appears that marketing budgets are in line with last year, just over 9% of revenue. What I find really interesting, however, and perhaps is mentioned in the report, I don't have access to it again, is how budgets do not seem to be coming back from the pre-COVID levels. I made my own graph here by going back and looking at the Gartner numbers over the last 9 years as to what we can see, and the CMO budgets have been pretty much coming down consistently since 2016. There was, of course, the big correction that happened right after the 2020 COVID pandemic, of course, but then things seemed to bounce back a bit in 2022 to the trend line. Now, the interesting question to me here is, does 7 years make a true trend here? And could we see budgets as a percentage of revenue come down even further in 2024 and beyond? Or do we see a big comeback? But if we don't, well, then I think a real question we have to start asking is percentage of revenue even the right way to measure marketing budgets anyway? Are we really spending less on marketing, or are we getting more efficient at spending the money we have, driving more revenue per marketing dollar spent? Or is media becoming so democratized that it's driving down the cost of that same amount of marketing and it's getting cheaper? Or something else? Anyway, for its part, Gartner seems to believe that costs actually are increasing and productivity is decreasing. As the release notes say, these two things are quote-unquote squeezing CMOs' spending power, and as much as they cite their research, they say that 75% of CMOs face increased pressure to quote-unquote do more with less. And 86% of the marketers said that they now must make significant changes to how marketing functions are done in order to achieve sustainable results. Well, what's my take? I think all those things can be true at the same time. I have too much time and too much money, said no marketer ever. So it doesn't surprise me that Gartner found that CMOs are concerned that they can't do all the things with the budgets that they have. We've also seen firsthand the hyper-acquisition of content and marketing technology. It's put marketing teams into a bit of a productivity quandary. The ever-present quest to make marketing and content operations more efficient, scalable, and measurable with technology has also created a scenario where marketers spend more of their time acquiring, implementing, and learning new technology than they do creating valuable things. This may be why the research also found that 75% of marketers report being under pressure to cut MarTech spending this year. But then, interestingly, CMOs also reported the biggest investment increase this year is likely to be, yes, wait for it, marketing technology. Our experience is that one of the keys to getting our arms around the productive use of technology and getting more for your buck is actually slowing down this process and fundamentally rethinking what we call the 5 C's of strategic marketing content: coordination, collaboration, content before containers, and channels. In other words, make sure your silo teams are coordinated with each other with one single source of the truth when it comes to content and how it's managed, ensuring that they're collaborating and planning consistent ideas, and that they develop those ideas, that content, so it can be reused across multiple containers, and then only leveraging the channels that you can demonstrably see value. Even the Gartner folks agreed with that idea with their recommendations that CMO should quote-unquote double down on scenario planning and balance near-term execution with the investments that enable them to build future-forward capabilities. But enough about Gartner and enough about me. How are you balancing the need for technology, productivity, budget for your teams, and all of those things? What do you think is really going on here over the next couple of years? Let me know, won't you, in the comments? And that's it for now. Well, that's 5 minutes of what you can use to hopefully lead your marketing strategy. I'm Robert Rose, and as always, it's your story. Tell it well. I'll see you again next week.